Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. So if you or your team have just rolled out Guardicore, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving straight into the absolute bedrock of zero trust success, the very first 10 foundational policies every single engineer should create. Let's get right to it. You know, what should be the first policies we create is probably the single most common anxiety-inducing question out there when you first deploy segmentation. Because suddenly, you're staring at this massive blank canvas with total visibility into your network. It's incredibly powerful, but man, it can be a little overwhelming figuring out exactly where to start securing things.
And look, the gut instinct for a lot of us is to just jump in and write hundreds of hyper-specific application rules on day one. But actually, scratch that. Doing that is a complete trap. It just leads to absolute chaos, endless troubleshooting, and this ridiculously complex policy database. The most successful engineers out there, they take a much more structured approach. They start by building a rock-solid foundation of broad policies that are strictly designed to give you visibility, security, and operational stability.
To build that foundation, we're going to follow a 4-part zero trust blueprint. We'll cover securing the critical core, stopping lateral movement, visibility and external controls, and finally, enforcement and best practices. All right, part 1, securing the critical core, covering our first 3 policies.
Policy number 1 is your infrastructure protection policy. Think about the absolute backbone of your environment, your domain controllers, DNS, DHCP, NTP, and identity servers. If an attacker gets into these systems, well, it's game over. They essentially own the place. So the very first step is locking these down. You only allow communication from systems that genuinely need these specific services. By denying or strictly monitoring everything else, you are instantly and drastically shrinking your attack surface.
That brings us to policy number 2, management access. Letting any random workstation in your environment open up RDP, SSH, or remote PowerShell to your servers? That's literally a hacker's dream. A secure policy mandates that these administrative protocols can only come from designated jump servers, bastion hosts, or privileged workstations. It completely cuts off a massive avenue for lateral movement.
And for policy 3, we have the internet access policy, which really just asks a super logical question. Does a database server actually need to browse the internet? Usually, no way. Yet so many organizations just leave outbound connectivity completely unrestricted by default. Blocking unnecessary outbound communication acts as this massive safety net. If malware somehow slips in, this barrier stops it from calling home to external command and control servers.
Moving right along to part 2, stopping lateral movement, which covers policies 4 through 6.
Policy 4 is all about application dependencies. And the beauty of Guardicore here is that instead of just guessing how an application works, you can actually observe its exact communication flow. Let's say you have an HR app. You can literally watch the web server talk to the app server, hit the database, check LDAP, and ping DNS. True application segmentation means you allow only these specific, legitimate communications, and you categorically deny everything else outside of that exact flow.
Now consider policy 5, workstation to workstation blocking. Think about how ransomware spreads. A single compromised laptop can rapidly infect hundreds of peer endpoints horizontally. But if you think about it, standard employee laptops rarely, if ever, need to talk directly to each other. By blocking this unnecessary peer-to-peer chatter, you stop attackers dead in their tracks, and everyday users won't even notice a difference.
Policy 6 tackles server-to-server segmentation. Way too many environments run completely flat server networks, which is basically like leaving every door in your office wide open during a zombie apocalypse. It's incredibly dangerous. A compromised, basic file server should never have an open pathway to your highly sensitive finance or SAP servers. You have to implement strict boundaries, whether that's by business unit, environment, or trust level, to drastically limit that horizontal movement. Next up is part 3, visibility and external controls. Let's look at policies 7, 8, and 9. Policy 7 is your high-risk port monitoring policy. And this one is key, because it shows that not every rule has to be a sledgehammer that just blocks traffic right out of the gate. Sometimes, just observing is the smarter play. By specifically monitoring high-risk ports like SMB, RDP, and SSH, you can spot weird communication and investigate it fully before you aggressively enforce restrictions that might accidentally break some legacy business process.
Then we have policy 8 for third-party vendor access.
Look, we all need vendors for remote support, but that shouldn't mean leaving a permanent backdoor open into your network. Your vendor policies need to explicitly define the who, what, where, and when. Which jump server are they using? To which exact app? Over what port? And crucially, once their maintenance window is up, that access should automatically expire. Temporary, scoped access is just infinitely safer.
Policy 9 focuses on separating development and production. These two environments are totally different beasts. Dev is naturally chaotic, right? It changes constantly, but production demands absolute stability. Unrestricted communication should literally never flow between the two. Your policy should dictate that only approved deployment tools can cross that boundary. It's a simple separation, but it prevents a developer's accidental test script from causing a massive production outage.
All right, our final section, enforcement and best practices. This covers Policy 10 and some really important tips. So, Policy 10 is your default monitoring policy. The biggest takeaway here? Do not rush into blocking everything on day one. Before enforcing strict rules, you need to observe the default traffic to catch normal behaviors and unknown dependencies. Use a phased approach. Start in monitor mode, gently shift into alert mode, and only hit enforce when you are 100% confident. This gradual rollout is how you secure the network without causing a total business disruption.
To really guarantee success, there are a few essential do's you need to keep in mind. First off, avoid rigid IP addresses. Always use resilient labels, like tagging an asset by its application or environment. IPs change, but labels stick. Second, document absolutely every policy. Make a habit of regularly reviewing and removing unused rules to keep things clean. And finally, never work in a silo. Always involve the application owners before you start blocking their traffic, just to make sure security and business are completely aligned. On the flip side, we have some critical don'ts. As we mentioned, do not try to create hundreds of rules on day one, and never, ever leave any-to-any rules active in critical infrastructure. It's also super important not to ignore the traffic needs of your DNS, authentication, or backup tools. If you block those blindly, you're going to break the network. And above all else, never hit enforce without validating those app dependencies first. Just don't do it.
If we distill the entire explainer down to one core philosophy, it's this. Guardicore isn't just about blocking traffic. It's about truly understanding your environment first and then allowing only what is absolutely necessary. These 10 policies we've covered aren't just arbitrary rules. They are the bedrock of a strong zero-trust architecture. Once this foundation is stable, you can confidently build upward to advanced application segmentation. So as we wrap things up today, I want to leave you with a question to really think about. Is your network truly segmented, or is it just complicated? A structured, foundation-first approach is the fundamental difference between the two. Thank you so much for hanging out and learning with me today. I highly encourage you to take these 10 foundational policies back to your team and see how they can deepen your own zero-trust strategies. Until next time, stay curious and stay secure.